Hello everyone, I am Mehak Rathi and we are here today because 3rd of December is witnessed as International Day for Persons with Disabilities. The theme for the year 2022 is Transformative Solutions for Inclusive Development, the role of innovation in fueling an accessible and equitable world. I have Dr. Rajesh Sharma with me today. He is Senior Lecturer, Justice and Legal Studies, RMIT University, Melbourne, and a core committee member of Asia Pacific Viz Premote. Welcome, sir. And to begin with, you shared a very special story with me about your vision of people with disability and what touched you. Can you just share the story again?
Thank you, Mehak, for inviting me on this very special day to discuss about such an important topic, which we never discuss and we never bring it out. Perhaps it's time now to come open and talk about it. I'm a teacher. I teach law, and my students, and I have been teaching for more than 25 years. And every year we have students who have some kind of a disability. They come in the class, they sit in the corner, and we don't pay attention to them. And while teaching, time to time, I realize that a person who cannot read it because of the blindness, a person cannot hear it because of the hearing problem. For those people, we have to make an extra effort. And as a teacher, we have to recognize them and appreciate them and include them. So that is the idea which I always have, that and I wanted to do, and make sure that if somebody who cannot see it, to talk to them before the class, during the class, to see that how we can help them, what kind of material will be useful for them. And thanks to the technology now which has developed, it has really helped us. Same as people with the hearing problem is the main thing. And that I realized during the COVID time, when we were giving online lectures. At that time, people with the hearing ability, they were finding so difficult, and we didn't realize. And one of my students said that that a student wants to drop the class, and I asked why. And they said that at this moment, since the classes are all online, it is difficult for that student with the hearing disability to really cope up, because there was no caption services, there was no transcript, there was nothing. And so people with the hearing ability had a tough time. And at that time, it really hit me. And I said that how come in such situation, in this era and in this age, we cannot help those students who have such kind of a disability? And I felt very guilty. So the first semester, I didn't realize. In the second semester, which this problem was brought to my notice, then I made sure that we go one step ahead, one extra mile, to do everything possible for that student, to bring it in the group and help them like any other student, to bring them at par. So we did hire a transcription services. I used to audit the transcription services so that I can see what they have been written. PowerPoints, I made it detailed so that most of the information is on a PowerPoint, not a small bullet point, but details on that one. Then I also made a summary of that lecture to give it to them, every kind of an effort. And as students continued and finally finished that course, I felt very satisfied. And I realized that if I leave one student out of my class, that is a failure as a part of a teacher. And it is extreme failure if we can exclude those kind of students who have disability and we cannot include in the class. So that was my turning point and my hitting moment, you can say, related to that.
Really fantastic, sir, that you could notice these people. I think most of us overlook the challenges they are facing, and we do not notice what they're going through. When we are talking, you mentioned about the online teaching. When everything turned online during COVID, most of the teachers faced a lot of issues teaching their normal classes. Most of the clinical legal education methods became redundant. Now, when we are talking about persons with disabilities, it is really difficult for them to sit in front of a screen and understand things. So what challenges do you think this online model is posing to persons with disabilities?
Hmm. uh, as I told you, the example with the person with the hearing ability, they were very adversely affected when the online classes started, or online, I mean, whatever the training program we do. So for them, it was a very difficult. But those who have a eye related problem or blindness related problem, for them, hearing, if hearing is good, then they can hear and they can understand. There is no problem. But again, for them also there was a problem, because most of the students and most of the people, they switch off their camera. So we as a teacher also, if the camera is there, if I can see you, then I can see you, that what is happening with you, I can read your facial reaction to see that. And even if you cannot see, I can at least notice and I can make sure that I'm doing the right thing. But without camera, it was very difficult. So we were just, one way communication was happening. So it was not a fault on our part also, and not on the fault of technology, but it's only again noticing and acknowledging these differences in, or like, the people with different ability in the class or in the group or in the training program. So that was particular challenging. So far as hearing is concerned, later on we realized that if we have a transcript services, if we can have a closed caption coming with our speeches, then that will be fine. Summary note will be fine. Reading the transcript will be fine. Correcting the transcript will help them. So all those things were there, like, we can do it. But then the problem was also with the blind people. Because if you are, like, most of the time when we are explaining anything in the class, we sometimes we draw the circle, draw the line, like, diagram, and explain. But for them it was very difficult. For us it's a very, like, it moves from here, it happens this, then this is what will happen. They can't see it, and we didn't even realize that this is the situation, like, we have to explain it to them. So time to time, like, we have to tell ourselves. So in that time, even the people who are teaching, they find themselves under too much pressure, that how they can cope up, because camera were off, they were talking to a computer itself, nobody is watching them. So even they were disoriented. And the people who had a real challenges, physical challenges, they were even totally thrown off. And yes, initially it was difficult, and then suddenly we realized that no, we have students of this type, or the people of this ability or disability in the class. So we have to be really careful about it. And it's not the physical disability of blindness and hearing, you can see it, like, you notice and you can react to that. But there are so many other disability which you don't even notice, because it's not physical, and it will be very difficult. And unless until, like, if some student has a stuttering problem, or very difficulty in speaking, a speech related problem, this is also a disability. So we can solve the hearing, we can solve that one. But if we set an assignment where a person has to negotiate, speak, and do something, then we realize that I have one student who had this kind of a stuttering problem. And I set an example of negotiation. And in that one, the student start becoming tired after speaking for 1 or 2 minutes every time. I didn't realize that, and I felt very bad about it. And then I asked him that, can I give you an alternative task? But he said that no, he will try that. And I really appreciate his effort. Then his teammates were even more cooperative. They said that no, don't worry. If you want to take rest, take rest. Drink water. We will wait for that. And it went very smooth. Yes, it survived. But think about it. If that student has not shown the courage, would not have cooperated, then what I could have done? Nothing. So we have to plan in that way. So the online teaching or online training has really shown us some more, like, routes or the plan that how we can cope up with that. I can only say that with 2 eyes, 2 ears, 2 hands, 2 legs, we are in a very fortunate situation. And we cannot, and I'm not saying that we can imagine everything what they are going through, but even we can understand a little bit. At least we show our effort, that we are trying and we are learning, and we will include them in our whole discussion. We have not done enough, we should be doing more. But for that, we have to learn too. And I can tell you that even I, through the YouTube, I started learning the sign language to some extent, if I can do it, can communicate with them. But still long way to go.
That is really amazing, sir. And I think the first step is to acknowledge what they are facing, the challenges, understand it from their perspective. And I'm sure we are there's a long way to go. But there's this of Asia Pacific WISPRI moot, your core committee member of that. And it is one of the first moots to adopt this noble vision of arbitration for all and made it a goal of inclusivity. Now, everybody has appreciated the efforts that have been put in. But would you like to throw some light about how we operated last time and how we are making all possible efforts to make it inclusive?
Hmm. Again, last year when we were thinking about doing a pre-moot, but at that time, ICC also started a task force where they wanted to have inclusion of people with disability in international commercial arbitration. So this is ICC committee, and ICC invited people to join the task force. So from Australia, I put my name. But most of these task force are not easy ones. All other ADR arbitration related, those task force are very well known one, and these ones are not. So I put forward my name only for one purpose, is that I understand and appreciate that lawyers should be included in arbitration with disability. But my idea was, or my thoughts were, that why to wait for a person to become a lawyer and then try to include them in arbitration? If that person has not gone through the law school, then he or she cannot be the lawyer. And if you cannot be the lawyer, how we can include? So majority of people will be excluded. I say that let's take this moot competition as a challenge, as an experiment, as an experimental lab of people with disability, and we try to use it because we want to show that whatever we are doing at an international arbitration level, we should try to implement that at an educational and the training level in the law school. If I can engage a student and I can keep them and I can include them, all those students in my class, in my training, and if I can give them effective training to them, effective knowledge to them, effective skills to them, then they will be a very confident person, very confident lawyer when they will join the bar. And after that, people with those disability, it will be a smooth transition, a seamless transition into the arbitration world, and they can be very successful over there, I mean, depending on other factors. So that was the idea. So we said that why to wait for the ICC to come out with the recommendation or the guideline or any kind of like direction? Why not we start on our own and let's see how this moot competition can help, and students how they cope up with that, because it is a perfect example of how they will be acting during arbitration in the real life. So that was a close to real life simulation we can give it to them. In that one, we also wrote to all the deans to please don't be worried. I know that competition is a very competitive for you. You want to win it, but for educational purpose, if you have any student with disability, please include them in your team. And if you think that those students have any problem in learning and you cannot provide them adequate training and learning, then please give it to us and we will give them training. And actually, not only for those students, for every students, we gave them the mooting skills training program, and we had the video, and all those video, to our knowledge, first time those kind of instructions or things were given with the help of sign language. So we give them so transcript and sign language and their speech and the PowerPoint, everything ran together on one screen. So students with different ability can be at the same time learning the same thing. So it was our small experiment. We did it. We had some students with physical disability as well as for mental disability, for non-visible disability. They took part and they compete, and the arbitrators, judges, or the teammates, other teammates, they didn't know that these students have such kind of a disability, because we didn't want to have the different category of moot. Not like it Olympic for the disabled people. It's not like that. We want them to be on the same level field, compete with the same confidence, and move forward with the same confidence. That was our idea. So we did that. This year, we are thinking of making it even more inclusive. We have identified some people who are like blind or has a hearing disability or other kinds of disability. but they are very successful lawyer, very successful arbitrator and judges. We are hoping to invite them to be on the panel, judge them. And once again, we have encouraged all law schools that to help or to encourage their students with any disability to take part in such kind of a competition, and we will give them all support, all full support. And one more thing I can say that before that, even the WIS moot, you can see that the moot problem was never available in audio file or never available in braille. We even converted the braille, and we told the team that if you want a hard copy of braille, we can send it at our own cost, no problem with that one. And this year there's some success. If you can see that some changes this year, if you go to the WIS Vienna website, the some exhibits have audio file where they have an audio, somebody has spoken, an audio file is also available. So somebody has noticed the good work, somebody has realized the good work, and it's going on. And I also say that ICC is also coming up with some good guidelines. As a task force members, I know that it will be made public very soon, and it has a very good awareness campaign, and everything will follow from there. So we are very happy that we are contributing a little bit from our own side, even a small step, but a small step in the right direction. And we are very happy that we are part of that journey. So I'm very lucky and very honored, and I feel very satisfied that at least I'm doing something meaningful. Yeah.
Right, sir. I'm sure that we will continue with our vision of arbitration for all through Asia Pacific with Premote, and we have set the sent the message, and people are noticing it, noticing the challenges, and maybe it's a long journey, but we will do our best. Now, for me, I also noticed all these challenges when you shared it with us in the core committee meeting. We discussed how students drop out and what challenges they face. So maybe a lot of teachers will be hearing you out through this interview. What is your message to all the teachers? How to deal with students with disabilities, and how to ensure that these people feel included, and there's no as you said, special category for them, they are part of us.
Well, I can only say that teaching itself is a very fulfilling job. Any teacher who has a passion for teaching, they will be doing the right job. But when they do not pay attention to that, and they miss out on something, maybe it's not deliberate. But what I say as a teacher, from my experience, I can tell all my fellow colleagues to, when you start the class, keep your eyes and ears open, be noticeable in the class, take a note, see in the corner of the classes, see left, right, not only in the front bench, but look at the back side of it. Somebody will be there, not talking, but that doesn't mean they don't know what to talk. They may not be reading, that doesn't mean that they cannot understand. So we have to be able to that. And the first step towards this journey, this kind of a thing, is to recognize, understand. Once we recognize, once we understand the person has certain kind of a disability, then we try to address that. And in one class, we do not know, non-visible disability number is also very high, very high. Somebody is not focused towards me when I'm speaking, we should not be immediately annoyed, and we say that, okay, you are not paying attention to me. Maybe at one time we should think about it. Is there any kind of mental disability here, or some kind of an issue is there? We should check first rather than reacting towards that. If somebody has a less attention in the class, not very focused, always getting like disoriented, then at that time we should not just start telling them off, but rather pause for a while and try to think, is there anything else? And in that case, perhaps we should meet the students separately. Perhaps we should send an email saying that if any students need any kind of extra help or reasonable accommodation, please let us know. Any kind of other assistance you need, you should we should offer that. Because the tendency of the students is they will not expose themselves, they will not come out, they want to keep it private. We cannot envision their private. privacy, but we can encourage them to come out privately to tell us, so that at least privately we can help them, and slowly we can include them. So first, try to understand, acknowledge, recognize, and then work according to their need. There is no one solution for that. A person who cannot read it because of blindness, the problem is not same for the person who can hear it. And think about a person who can't hear and who can't see, and then think about a person who can hear, who can see, but has a mental issues. Then how we should deal with that? So we should be very accommodating and very passionate and very understanding, I can say, and that will be the start.
Right. So that was it for this session. Thank you so much for your message and for sharing your experience. I must say that I noticed it when you shared it. It is very important, as you said, to recognize first. And I am sure that through Asia Pacific with Remote, we continue our journey and continue the best possible efforts for inclusivity and to ensure that arbitration is actually for all. Thank you so
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.